starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first installment in our Hen Talks series. My name is Zach Corbin, and I work in the Office of Development and Alumni Relations as Assistant Director of Virtual and Experiential Engagement. I'd like to thank everyone for registering for today's event. We're excited to launch this new program. Hen Talks is a webinar series that will run on Wednesdays throughout the year and feature alumni, faculty, staff, and friends of the university sharing Blue Hen brilliance. Webinars will tackle career and professional development topics, life skills, and more. All Hen Talks will be recorded and can be accessed by visiting the Hen Talks page of UD Connection. Before we get started, just a few quick notes. If you have questions that you would like to have answered throughout the presentation, please type them into the questions section. We'll get to as many as we can, in addition to questions that were submitted beforehand. We encourage you to keep the conversation going on social media by using the hashtag HenTalks. Finally, if there are any technical concerns preventing you from viewing the webinar, please call Citrix's helpline at 877-582-7011. Let's start with a couple quick polls to get a gauge of our audience. So the first question is going to be, how comfortable are you using LinkedIn? Give you a couple minutes to try to fill this one out. All right, it looks like the results, one answer really stuck out, and so that's most people are somewhat comfortable with LinkedIn, but they feel like they could learn a lot more, which is good, and we're glad that you're here viewing this webinar. And we've got one more poll for you as well, and that is, what are you hoping to get out of today's presentation? Just to note, this is one that you can submit multiple answers for. All right, we got the last few responses coming in here. And it looks like most people don't really need to learn the basics of LinkedIn, but the next three answers were pretty common. So leveraging tools and resources, improving LinkedIn profiles, and finding out how to stand out from the crowd. There's a lot of other users on LinkedIn. So luckily today we have an expert that's going to help us address some of those concerns that showed up in that last poll question. So today we have a great presenter lined up to talk about ways to optimize your presence on LinkedIn, and that is Jill Ponte. Jill currently serves as the director of the Learner Career Services Center at the University of Delaware. She's been at the University of Delaware for 9 years and was at Drexel University for 2 years prior to her time at UD. Jill earned a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from the University of Dayton and her Master in Education and Counseling in Higher Education from the University of Delaware. She served in the Peace Corps in Micronesia from 1999 to 2001 as a health education volunteer. After her service, she traveled the world and returned to the United States to serve as a leader in an AmeriCorps Visa program for 1 year, recruiting and training other volunteers to set up mentoring programs in K-12 schools in Delaware. In addition to managing the undergraduate and graduate Learner Career Services Center, Jill also teaches in the MBA program, in addition to teaching 2 undergraduate online courses and a summer high school camp covering topics around branding, professional development, the entrepreneurial mindset, interviewing, and social media. So even with all that activity, Jill's been able to carve some time out for us. Welcome, and thank you for presenting today, Jill.
Thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate being here. Let me see if I am able to share good
my screen? All right, awesome. Oops. I was just talking to Zach and saying how it's so much easier to do a presentation in front of people because you actually get to see their faces, reactions. We can have a conversation if I'm going over something too fast. But so this is definitely, I've done webinars before, certainly prefer the in-person. Of course, I will always be happy to take questions at the end or even afterwards. I've actually had a number of different alum me on LinkedIn with just some questions who were unable to make the webinar or just wanted to connect. Actually, I had an alumni that said, hey, I'm going to be in Delaware. Can we meet for coffee? I'd about my professional development. So I'm always happy to connect. It's one of my passions. Is just connecting with people and just hearing stories. So, all right, so I'm gonna, let's make, just popped up on my screen here. So do not worry, I will not be doing the PowerPoint the entire time. I'm gonna toggle between the PowerPoint as well as LinkedIn. So of course, if you're out there and on your computer, you can click along with me. But looking at some of the things, I mean, obviously the pre-polls that Zach did, you know, and some of the questions that came in during registration. So I try to tailor a lot of the conversation that we're going to be having today to what you all are looking for. We had a lot of profile, so we're going to look at profile, how to optimize your profile, things to include, things not to include. We're going to talk about connections. We're going to go over several features within LinkedIn. I always question, and actually this came on the pre-registration questions or questions about LinkedIn Premium. So I'll give you my 2 cents on that. And then we'll talk about some action steps, and then I also have at the end of this additional resources. So before I begin, I will let you know I will have this you know, saved into a PDF that Zach can certainly send out to any of the attendees because it has a at the end of additional resources. So and I also want to thank Alumni Development and Alumni Relations for putting this on and asking me to speak. This is such an incredible, incredible honor to kind of kick off the Hen Talks. All right, get into LinkedIn while you all are here. So first off, let's talk about the 5 profiles. I actually did see on that poll, I think we have an all-star already in the audience. Which is very exciting. So certainly you can keep me honest and make, you know, maybe you can add your knowledge in here as well. So there are 5 profile strengths of LinkedIn: beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, and all-star. The all-star, as you can see, there's ways to get there. And the nice thing about it is it will help you get there. It will remind you every time you go into LinkedIn saying, hey, you didn't fill out this feature, you didn't fill out this part of your profile, or you know, just asking you questions. Come and fill out the skills sections. Do you want to endorse anyone? Have so-and-so recommend you. So that's the nice thing about LinkedIn is they're really trying to get people to be all-stars on their profile. The way you get to all-star, first off, you have to fill in pretty much all of the sections. You need to have a photo, and we're going to go into this in more detail, but just so you all are aware of how you get to that all-star status. Photo, you don't have to have a background photo, but it helps. You need to have a tagline, a summary, experience. The experience has to include your current and your past experience, education, skills. Certainly, you have to have an updated LinkedIn URL. You have to post some status updates, even if it's just you know, sharing, you know, an article. You have to follow a certain amount of groups and companies and schools and influencers. You have to exceed a certain amount of connections, and you also have to have recommendations. So to get to that all-star status, this will hopefully help guide you there. In case you really just want to see that all-star little badge on your profile. So let's actually get into our profile. So I just did a screenshot of mine right here, but I'm gonna, hopefully this will work and we'll go right over to LinkedIn. Let me actually get to my profile here. I'm gonna view my profile, so there's me. You know, so let's kind of start from the top down. LinkedIn revamped their whole, like how everything looks. They revamped it, I want to say probably going on 6 months to 8 months now. And what's nice is they've allowed you to, you know, have a lot of the important information right up front there. So obviously having a picture, you need to have a picture. Your LinkedIn profile, 60% more trusted. That figure is probably a little bit higher. More trusted if you have a picture on your profile. So having a picture and one that's professional. You know, and it doesn't necessarily mean, professional does not mean you in a business suit or you in a shirt and tie. It just means you in some sort of professional setting. It's typically like a headshot. I've seen pictures of people. I actually saw a picture of a girl who was sitting in a tree that looked more like a Facebook photo rather than a LinkedIn photo. You know, I've seen pictures of people with their arms around other people, so it's like a group photo. So, and then I've also seen that group photo where you get the, you know, you have your arm around somebody and then you've cropped out that person's arm or your arm, and so it's you, but you have like kind of half an arm in the photo. So, and I've also seen sort of those senior prom headshots as well. So make sure it's just you, okay? You and you alone, no extra body parts in there. You know, just a headshot, and you know, again, just being you in your sort of authentic way. So photo is definitely a must. Banner behind me. It will default to sort of like a pattern behind there. If you don't want to, if you don't choose to put something on there, put in there. Obviously I work at Learner. I love Learner. Love working at the University of Delaware. So I branded my banner in the background to that. Again, you don't have to. I was an all-star before I changed that, so that won't really affect your all-star profile. But again, this could sort of bring as to where your passions lie, as to, you know, to where you sort of spend the most amount of your time. Obviously, you have your name. That's pretty easy. This part right here, this is the tricky part that a lot of people get caught up on, and this is the headline. The headline here is you have 120 characters, okay? So in 120 characters, who are you? What's your brand? And that's probably a very loaded question, if you will. I've forth with this, the headline. I do think it's an important piece of it because, I mean, LinkedIn has put it right there at the top. This is the very first thing that people are going to see of you. They're going to see your picture, they're going to see your name, they're going to see your headline, and then they're going to see your summary. So these are things that you need to spend time on. I actually looked around at other colleagues, their headlines, and I actually sort of liked this idea where it was more, instead of an entire sentence of branding, it was more of words that resonated with me. I am the director of a career services center, so I am in a leadership position. I do a lot of career and brand coaching. Education, I work at an educational institution. I also teach a lot, do a lot of workshops, do a lot of training, so that also is part of my brand. And you've already heard me use this probably twice, this word connector. I love connecting people. So that was part of my brand. So you may want to look around at other people's profiles and just kind of see what sort of brand or tagline or way that they do this, how does this, what resonates with you? Because not everyone thinks in sentences or complete sentences. Some people sort of think in you know, short words or phrases. That brings me to the next important piece is your summary. So I actually get a lot of questions on this. What do you include in your summary? So obviously you can see what I include in my summary. And you'll see, and I will tell you out of my, how many, 11 years of experience in career services, I love bullet points. I think that was one of the questions on the questionnaire was, you know, bullet points or paragraphs or a different way. I really like bullet points. That's sort of how I think. You'll actually, if you saw me right now, I don't have a, but I have a bunch of bullet points in front of me of points that I need to make. This summary right here, this is kind of an extension of your brand. Who are you? Okay. And not who are you, you know, where you were born, how many brothers and sisters you have, you know, that sort of information. This is about who you are professionally. So what is your background in? What are some of your greatest achievements? What are some of the certifications and the trainings that you have that make you stand out and that are different? The headline and the summary, these are the things that make you stand out. You know, yeah, do I have other colleagues that have over 11 years of experience in career services? Yes, they might, but I state it right at the beginning. So I'm going to put that right out there because that is part of my experience. I have a lot of experience around in the career services and higher education area. So again, this summary can be in a paragraph form if that's how you do. It could be in bullet points. You know, but definitely include some of the highlights of you, of your brand, of your achievements and accomplishments. What sort of value do you bring? You can also put in here, now obviously I'm not looking for a job, and we'll get into that in a minute about the job and how you can let people know if you're looking for a job. If I was looking for a job, I would probably add a little bit more to the summary. You know, I'm looking for a job in X, Y, and Z industry, or I'm looking to connect with people in X, Y, Z area. So you could expand upon this, or for those alumni that are looking to shift careers, you could also put in there, like, I'm looking to go from a business operations role to an engineering technology role. So you could add that into your summary when you're making, you know, when you're sort of going through that career transition. You know, for me, I'm just more of, again, you know, LinkedIn doesn't necessarily mean job seekers. It can be for people just wanting to connect, to learn, and to sort of grow their relationships. The other thing that I will say before we sort of head down in the profile, I know we have a lot of, you know, we don't have too many beginners here, but one of the things that I also want to make sure that everyone is doing is that you are personalizing your URL, you're branding it to you. You can see right here, up here, you actually see that my LinkedIn profile URL is, you know, Ponte. LinkedIn gives you a profile, it will give you a profile URL with part of your name in it, followed by a bunch of letters and numbers. Letters and numbers do not make up your brand, but your name does. So one of the things that you can do, and what I would suggest that you do, is to go in when you're in your profile, is if you edit your public profile, and you can edit that URL. So if you click right here on that pencil, this is where you can do a lot of the editing here, but if you click right here on the pencil, you can go ahead and edit that. Now, LinkedIn will tell you maybe somebody else has that name, so maybe you need to be a little bit creative, put a couple dashes in there, dots, anything like that. But again, just get rid of those letters and numbers and any symbols. Right here is also where you can customize your public profile, you know, whether or not what you want visible, if you don't want anything visible, and what you want visible to everyone. So, you know, you can certainly choose. You know, to me, that is a personal choice of what sort of details that you want to be made public. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more. Okay, moving down, you can kind of see like my dashboard right here. I can see who's sort of viewed my profile. Again, this is private to me. You know, how many, you know, views that I got of my last post and how many search appearances that I've been in. So, wow, that's exciting, 268 people. I can also talk about my activity here. So getting more into the profile, the rest of your LinkedIn, besides that headline, besides the summary, is really going to be a copy and paste of your resume. I get questions about, you know, oh, should I just list where I work and not list all of these bullet points right down in here? So here's my take on that. I certainly, if you want your if you want to make the best of your profile, put as much information on there as you can, especially if you're searching for a job. You know, a lot of these bullet points right in here, or the description of where you're working at, they're going to contain common language, words, phrases, skill sets that perhaps a recruiter is looking for. So if you don't have any information in, you know, in your experience or in your activities or in your leadership or in your summary, if you don't have any language in there, any descriptions of what you've done, people might not be able to find you based on those skill sets. So especially if you're on the job search or you're just wanting to connect with more people, I always recommend put in there as much as you possibly can, because you know, you never know what people are going to resonate with. And, you know, if I just had here Director, University of Delaware, that's really not going to tell people anything. They may not understand what that means or what I do, but if they go into the description, they're going to find out what I do. So of course, the experience, you'll see all the experience that I have in here. This is the other nice thing about LinkedIn. You know, if you're trying to keep your resume to one page, you know, you might have to take some things off of there. So on my resume, I don't necessarily have that I was a graduate assistant, or I may not have, you know, that I was a Vista leader on there. It may not be relevant. But on my LinkedIn, I have all of this. So that's another nice thing, that then I can add my URL to my resume, and then people can see my whole professional history on here. Obviously, you want to put education on there, connect to your university. You see how this is all branded right in here: University of Delaware, University of Dayton. It's very easy when you brand or when you edit that. So you select your university that you were at, because then they can find you. People can connect with you more, and we'll get into the schools a little bit later. Obviously, the skills and endorsements, you know, I would make sure that you have at least 5 in here. You know, and again, skills that are relevant to your area. Sometimes you can choose from the list. You can add ones in here that you want, and then people can endorse you. That's a nice feature. I'm sort of hit or miss on the featured skills and endorsements, because I have 97 people that have endorsed me for career counseling. However, when I go through here and see who's endorsed me, there's several people in there that I've never done career counseling with, but they may know me by reputation. So I don't take the fee, at least the endorsements, too seriously, but it does look nice that you have a list of skills here that are relevant to your area. Certainly recommendations, I only have a couple on here. I certainly probably should have more. That's probably one area where I would want to improve my LinkedIn, is getting additional recommendations from people that I've worked with, employers that I've worked with, alumni that I've worked with, colleagues, boss. This is a great way for people to see, to see more about how people are connected with you. And it's a great way to sort of bring home, okay, I've got all this experience right here. I say how great I am. Now here are people verifying that, and they're saying, actually, yeah, she helped me on this, or she was, she was very hard work, helped develop this resource. So it's almost like the recommendations are almost a validation for the work that you're putting down there. And then, of course, at the bottom of your profile are your interests. And LinkedIn has these interests grouped into influencers, companies, groups, and schools. So we're going to get more into those in here in just a second. But for the most part, profile, obviously you need to have the contact information on here, and you'll see that I'm pretty open book. You don't necessarily have to share your email address. I do. I share my company website, which is the Learner, and of course my LinkedIn profile URL. So you can include in the contact information your phone number, date of birth, if you're married. I wouldn't share that personal information. I would pretty much stick to the website and the email. But it's up to you if you wanted to share your phone number on there. All right. So I'm going to toggle back here, and I just want to sort of go into just some profile and branding tips. Obviously, personalize your URL. Include a photo and a background if you want. Make sure your headline is updated. What's your brand in 120 characters? Your summary should certainly highlight your accomplishments and your passions. Be clear and concise in your profile. This is a statistic I just read about. People read about 18% of what's on a page. So actually, you're probably only reading like 2 of my bullet points right now, which is fine. So that's why we've got to be clear and concise in our language, LinkedIn, but on our resume, on our emails, just in any written communication, because people are just not reading. We don't have time, right? Complete all sections that are relevant. You know, and again, if you're looking for a job, you know, be sure to include keywords, skills, and phrases in your industry. This is also true for anyone starting their business. So if you have a business and you're trying to add on a LinkedIn profile for your business, having these keywords and skills and any phrases in your industry will help to drive more traffic to your page, if you will. We talked about recommendations, obviously. Increase your interest to increase your network. I get a lot of information from the people that I follow, not just on LinkedIn, but on Twitter, on Facebook. It's a great way, you know, to get information that is important to you. You know, something that's important to me, you know, when we go down to number 10, post and repost your interests and passions. You know, one of my passions right now is about women's leadership. And so I read a lot about, I follow certain organizations and groups. I get information, and I'll repost or I'll share different articles that I've read that sort of resonated with me. You don't necessarily have to write an article or, you know, do a research paper or anything like that to be an expert. But if you read and share that, people will kind of start seeing, okay, you have a lot of knowledge on this topic, and maybe I want to reach out to you because I want to gain that same knowledge. So, you know, I think, you know, how do we become experts? We read a lot, we talk to people, we attend workshops, we do webinars. That's how we start becoming experts. So let's talk about connections. And one thing that I'm not sure if everyone is aware of, but LinkedIn, really how LinkedIn was created. So LinkedIn was created by Reid Hoffman, and he actually created on the theory of 6 degrees of separation. This is an actual theory. So what 6 degrees of separation is, or the Kevin Bacon game, I think Gen Xers and baby boomers probably would know about that reference, but 6 degrees of separation means that every single person in the entire world is separated by 6 connections. So I know somebody who knows 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 this person. We're all sort of separated by 6 degrees. What Reid Hoffman found when he created LinkedIn is, in fact, people were actually connected by less. They were connected by 3rd or 4th degrees, which shows me and showed him that the world is actually a pretty small place. And if you live in the state of Delaware, I think everyone's like 1st degree connected. I always meet somebody that knows, you know, a colleague of mine or knows a friend of mine. So what's nice is that the LinkedIn makes that theory come alive. And if you ever get a chance, I would certainly recommend The Startup of You, which is a book that Reid Hoffman wrote, just about sort of being change ready and just about his a little bit about his journey in LinkedIn, and how we can stay connected to each other. Obviously, you want to send personalized messages when connecting. I'm already starting to get those, and I'll talk to you about my sort of theory on connecting. You know, I'm already starting to get to people saying, hey, oh, I saw your post on LinkedIn, or I saw your article in this, you know, in this publication, or hey, I attended your webinar. I would really like to connect. So I like those personalized messages because now we can start a conversation, and we never know where that conversation is going to lead. One of the things you may want to ask yourself is, are you a lion or do you want to be a lion? And you may be asking, what is a lion? A lion is a LinkedIn open networking, or a networker. Basically, a lion will accept every single invitation to connect to attempt to increase their network and their follower count. I don't know if I would necessarily consider myself a lion, but I'm pretty close to being a lion. I like to connect with anyone that, one, has a connection to the University of Delaware. I'll accept anyone that has a connection to the University of Delaware because I want to increase my network and my follower count. I will accept anyone that is in sort of an employment, hiring, recruiter, that sort of area, because then that might be able to help me do my job better and get jobs for our students and alumni. I am a little bit skeptical when I get a connection from somebody who doesn't even have a name or a picture. And when I go on their profile, no connection to me whatsoever, the University of Delaware, any of my past jobs, those I will ignore. So I am a little bit, I will look at where everyone is part of before I accept them. But there are probably a handful that I get a week that I don't accept just because I'm not really sure why we're connecting. So, you know, to me, I get asked that question, should I connect, should I not connect? To me, I think that you should connect how you feel comfortable. Some people are very comfortable, you know, in accepting everyone. Some are a little skeptical. To me, I mean, this is a professional networking site. You're not sharing pictures of your family, your vacation, your personal, you know, information. This is about you on a professional level. So to me, I want to have as many connections as possible because that could open up a lot of doors for me and for people that I work with. So I say accept everyone that you're comfortable with. Because again, this is more about a professional networking site, not a social, not a personal networking site. So I think people sometimes have a hard time making the distinction between the two. So let's get into some of the features. I'm gonna toggle back and forth because I want to show everyone about these different features. So let's start with jobs. So you may not be looking for a job. I'm not looking for a job, but you know, I might have a friend, I have colleagues, and I have students that I know are looking for jobs. So we're going to go into the jobs tab feature. So one of the things that I'll first point out here is this sort of job site looks a lot like any other job site, you know, where you search by keyword and location. So we're going to do a quick search here. We're going to do marketing because I get a lot of marketing alumni and students in my office. And we're going to just do Philadelphia because we're going to do the greater Philadelphia area because that also includes Delaware. And so we're going to actually search here. So we can already see there are over 12,000 marketing positions in the greater Philadelphia area. That tells me a couple things. One, I'm super stressed because I'm not going to be able to go through 12,000 jobs. But two, hey, there's a lot out there. Maybe I can make that change, or maybe I can, find that position, that I've been looking for. Here's where we can get that 12,000 down to a shorter number, to a lesser number. Obviously, you can put down here by the date posted. You definitely want to drill down in search. So maybe ones that are just posted in the past 24 hours. That's pretty surprising to me. Almost 1,000 marketing positions in the greater Philadelphia area have been posted in the past 24 hours. Wow, okay, so there's a lot of stuff out there. You can drill down by company. I love this experience level because especially if you're looking, maybe you only have a couple years of experience, so you might be more on the entry level. Maybe you only have, 5 to 10 years of experience, and so maybe you'd be more around the mid-senior or associate. Or if you're a current student, you can actually drill down by internship. So that's a nice thing where you can do the experience level that I don't see on a lot of other websites. We can also look at location. We can look at LinkedIn features. They have this easy apply button. You can also keep track of how many people are under 10 applicants, which is nice. And then of course there's additional filters. So maybe marketing is so broad, but I actually want to do something in sales, so I can fill that in, or I can also do something by salary, which I'm gonna point out here in just a minute. But let's just say for this part, let's just say, you know what, I want to find out all of the marketing jobs in Conshohocken. I've been to Conshohocken, it's a very nice area. Okay, so now that's narrowed me down to 131. And so far, let's just kind of click on this first one, a marketing specialist. It was posted 1 week ago. It's gotten 176 views. It does have the LinkedIn Easy app. It's a very quick, kind of pulls in everything from LinkedIn. But here's the nice thing that actually you can see everything from this line below. You see where it says premium. You're not going to see this. I have a premium account. Again, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But what the nice thing is that on some jobs, and this is open to everyone, I can actually see who posted this position. So I can actually click on Samantha, and this has nothing to do with premium. This is for everyone. I can actually click on Samantha right here, and I can look at her profile. I can see that she's a corporate recruiter for this organization. I can see that her and I are second connected. I could certainly send her a connection. I might send her a connection, but again, I might want to make sure, maybe add a note. Hi, Samantha, I just saw this, marketing director position posted. I've applied online, would certainly like to discuss it more. Send the invitation. Doesn't hurt to do that. The other thing that you can also do, and again, we're going to get into this later, is if I scroll down here, I can actually see Samantha's, I can see the companies, I can see the groups. This is a key thing right here, so keep that in mind. And I can also I can see the schools that she follows, St. Joe's, Temple, James Madison. We're going to come back to the groups here in a minute, because if that connection doesn't work, then maybe I would be able to message her through a group that she's a part of. So especially when you're searching for jobs, you might want to dig a little deeper. I'm not saying do this for every single position that you're trying to apply for, but maybe the ones that are sort of in your top 5. These are the ones that sort of make your eyes light up, that you definitely want. You could just see yourself working there. You may want to, first of all, dig a little deeper and try to make those personal connections. And again, hopefully some of these features here that I'm showing you will see that. I also want to go back to this jobs here, because one of the things that they've also added to LinkedIn is this LinkedIn salary. So, and again, I get that question asked a lot. Well, how much money, should I be expecting to make? So this LinkedIn salary. So for me as a premium, I can go, it'll take me right here. And I'm sorry, this is for everyone. If you want to get the full picture, this part right here, you need to either share your salary or upgrade to premium. But even if you don't have premium, it will show you the median salary. So if I put in here marketing, we'll say marketing manager in, we'll say the greater Philadelphia area that we had looked at. This will sort of help me in my job search. About 70,000. So again, I get instant access to the LinkedIn salary. You can too. If you don't have premium, it will tell you, because I tested this out with a colleague who doesn't have premium, it will show you the median base salary. Then if you want to look at more of this, you just have to share your current salary. So it's one way that LinkedIn collects salary information, educate people more about what they should be expecting in their salary range. So again, this can kind of help you, even if you do have a job, maybe a current person right now is a marketing manager, and maybe they need to go and do some salary negotiation, or maybe ask for a raise if they find that they're falling below that median base salary. Again, don't go in there and say, well, Jill told me that I should be asking for a raise. Obviously, you want to do some of your research before you go in and do that. But you got to know your worth, and you've got to fight for your value. All right, so let's go on to, I think I've hit everything on jobs. Let's go on to companies and groups. Nice thing about following companies, we're gonna use one of the companies here. They recruit a lot at UD is Yelp. I think a lot of people know Yelp. If you've ever done sort of a review of a restaurant or a business or anything, you might have done that through Yelp. So the nice thing about Yelp is, one, I can see their stock snapshot, gives me information on the New York stock, how they are doing on the New York Stock Exchange. I can connections I have that already work at Yelp. I can also see the 8,200 employees on LinkedIn that are at, which is fantastic. And I also see on here that Yelp was ranked on the 2017 LinkedIn top companies. This is going to help me in my research, because when I'm looking at jobs and I go in and I get an interview with Yelp, and one of the questions that most companies are going to ask is, what do you know about us? I might want to go on their LinkedIn and see what sort of information. They're trading at 46.42. I know that they were on the 2017 LinkedIn top companies. I know that they, contributed approximately 127 million cumulative reviews. so I can get some information that's going to help me in that interview. And then, of course, I have an easy tab right here to see the jobs that they're hiring for. I always tell students and alumni that I'm working with, especially if you're looking for a job, don't don't scatter your resume out there. Let's try to be targeted. Let's try to get a list of companies that you want to work for. You'll always hear me say, you know, the minute somebody comes in my office and talks about a job or they're looking for a job, I always ask them, all right, who's on your top 5? Because I want to know the top 5 companies that you're going after, because then that can help really focus your job search a little bit. Let's look at the groups as well. So LinkedIn obviously has tons of groups, just like everybody else does. And because we are all alumni here, we're going to see how many groups there are that have University of Delaware. So right in here, if you just put in there in the general search, you can find people, jobs, content, companies, groups, and schools. So we're going to focus on the groups right here. So there are 129 groups that have something to do with the University of Delaware. So I can scroll down in here and find groups that I probably want to join. There's definitely a couple. Certainly, I would join the official alumni group, and I would also join the Blue Hen Career Network. You see, those are the top 2 that are listed in the results. And these groups, there's a lot of posting that goes on. There's a lot of connections that go on. So if you're not already a part of these groups, I would request to join. So if I clicked on the University of Delaware Blue Hen Career Network, so I can certainly start a conversation. I can see all the different posts that people have put in there. Here's our wonderful Zach Corbin, who posted a few months ago about some virtual networking events. So one of the things that I love that LinkedIn brought back, they had this feature, then they got rid of it, then they brought it back, is if I clicked on, so we've got 8,500 members in here. If I clicked on here, now I can actually view these 8,500 members. Now, some of these I might not be first connected to. So I can message directly somebody that I'm first connected to. If I'm not first connected to somebody, I either have to send them a connection or I have to update to premium. However, if I am in their group, I can actually direct message through the group. So I can click on message and I can message Nicole Motto. So going back to that one job that we found at Yelp, and we found that person who posted it, it might behoove us to be part of some of the groups that she is a part of and see if we can't message her directly through that group. I think we can send a connection request with a personalized message, then also maybe join some groups and direct message her through LinkedIn. There's definitely different ways, and again, I think you've got to go. You've got to definitely go above and beyond sometimes, especially when you're looking for a job, or if you're just trying to look and find more connections. But certainly the groups are such a great part. And if you join groups that you have a passion in, you have a connection to, you have an interest in, not only can that add more to the networks that you already have, but it can add to your knowledge of what you're passionate about. So again, the groups, the influencers, the companies, it's just a great way of sharing information. If we go to the schools here, this will be sort of my next feature here. The University of Delaware, right here is a school, obviously, and we want to make the University of Delaware. You can already see they have 132,000 followers. They have over 120,000 alumni on LinkedIn. Holy moly, that's a lot of people to connect with. Obviously, we already know everything about UD, but it's nice because they put all these updates on here. But what I love about UD, you can either get there from clicking on See Alumni, or you can go down here to the Career Insights. We're going to click on Career Insights. And what's great about this is that I can now see where people are, either where I live, where I work, in the field that I'm in. If you go to the second screen, kind of what they studied, I could see all the economics majors that might be on LinkedIn here. what they're skilled at. Maybe my business is looking for a very specific, talent, and we need to identify that talent, and then just ways that we're connected. I love using this. I use this pretty often when we're trying to do up to New York City, trying to connect with alum that are up there. So I'll kind of drill down into all the alumni that are in the greater New York City, so I can start, seeing the list that's here. Maybe I want to drill down even more because now finance people that are in New York City, and now again that will give me even more. And I also, maybe I want to know all the people that are working at at Citi. So now I can drill down even more. So now these 29 alum, as you can see, most of these I'm not connected with. I'm second connected only to these. But maybe I have a student or an alumni that's looking to connect with somebody for a position that maybe they've applied to at Citi, or maybe I just think they would be a really good panelist. Or maybe, we're planning a bus trip up to New York City, and I'd love to reach out to them to see if, we can do a site visit with students. So again, I can click right on, here's Monica Dawson. She looks very nice. She's, I'm only second connected to her. I could see her contact information. She doesn't have anything here, but for me, maybe I just want to send a connection and add a note on there. And we'll see how that goes, if that's somebody that I wanted to connect with. Again, what's so great about LinkedIn now is they have that schools features. They've had it for a while. And it's a great way to connect with, 120,000 people that we already now have something in common. We have the University of Delaware in common. And I will tell you, the Blue Hen goes a long way. So don't hesitate to reach out to people who are already, really that know what the Deer Park is. They know what Stone Balloon is. They know Newark Deli Bagel. They know Main Street. Those are some great things. Those are the things that I talk with alumni all about all the time. Let's go back here. Again, you'll get this. These are just kind of some tips and things that I went over already. So let's talk about premium, to premium or not to premium. To me, I have, so you can actually see this is my current plan. I just took a screenshot. I don't know if it's worth it. In my opinion, it's not worth it. Some of the things that they're going to feature on here, who's viewed your profile. One of the things that people get premium for is because they can in-mail so many people. But to be very honest with you, sending a connection with a personalized request or trying to connect through the groups and direct messaging through the groups is a great workaround. We also have another great resource at University of Delaware through our handshake system called CareerShift. Always happy to talk about that more. CareerShift actually is a job board, but it also is a contact board. And I would say about 80% of the time, I can find someone's work email address. So I might be able to find an email and just message that person directly. And again, CareerShift, and it's accessible through Handshake, which is our job posting board. So to me, premium is not necessarily worth it. But I will say this, if you are going to get it, use it every day and use it to the best of how you want to advance, whether it be getting a new job, whether it be going to grad school, whether it be connecting. Get the most out of your money. You've got to figure out your ROI. What's your return on investment for premium? For me, it's part of my job, so I really need to connect with alumni, and premium helps me do my job better. Whether or not, if I was a job seeker, I don't think that I would get it. But again, that's just my opinion. You can agree or disagree with me or not. Always happy to have a discussion. So I know about 10 minutes left, so I wanted to leave you with 5 action steps. Be an all-star. I think everyone on this webinar should already be an all-star, or at least in the next couple days, that's your goal. Be an all-star. Fill out as much as you can. I think also in the next week, I think you need to follow, join, and post in groups, companies, schools, and influencers. Like, you need to be out there and following areas where you're passionate about. The one nice thing about LinkedIn, at least for me, is I have more connections on LinkedIn than I do on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I haven't really gone on the Snapchat route yet, but LinkedIn is where 3,000 connections, and that's built up over time. That didn't all come overnight. But for me, when I want to get out that's important to me, I post it on LinkedIn because I know I'll get the most amount there than I will any other social media platform. Certainly, I would stay away from hot topic, or hot button topics, politics, religion, things like that on LinkedIn. But of course, there are groups around that, so you could certainly connect with people that share your same thoughts. Connect how you feel comfortable. You don't have to accept everyone, but to me, the whole purpose of LinkedIn is to increase and build your network. Become a leader in your field. You could write an article. I mean, you can post or write an article. You could repost. You could reshare something. You could comment on somebody of what they posted and start a dialogue and conversation that way. That's helped me a lot, I will say, in certain groups that I'm a part of. Sometimes when I have an issue at work or just a challenge that I've come across, I'll post out to some of my groups and some of the groups that I'm part of with some of my colleagues and say, hey, I'm having this issue. Has anyone else had this issue? Can anyone give me some recommendations? So I've actually gotten a lot of great feedback that way. It's helped me grow, not just as a career person or in my profession, but in becoming a good manager and a good leader. And always I tell my kids this all the time: you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So if you're going to be a passive bystander on LinkedIn, you're going to expect passive bystander results. You're not going to get anything out of it. But if we take some action, we start increasing some of our activity on there, we connect with more people, we become an all-star, you're going to see more things happen, either in your professional development and also in your professional growth. As promised at the end, here's some additional resources that, and again, this will be in the PDF. I'll send this to Zach. I'll send this out to everyone so you guys can click on these. But these are really great articles that I've read. And this last one, the LinkedIn profile checklist, is a great blog that somebody put on there, and it really goes into a lot of details, some of which I've already covered here, but of course we can only cover so much in an hour. And of course I'm always, first of all, connect with me on LinkedIn. I always love to connect with people and share with me, maybe a resource that you found that was helpful, or, a feature that you're not really sure about in LinkedIn, or something that you think would be helpful. Maybe an article that resonated with you might resonate with somebody else. So I think we need to share as much information as possible with each other. So with that said, I definitely want to thank you all so much, and I'm certainly willing to answer any questions if there were any questions that came across on the webinar.
And if there's not, that's fine too, to get out early.
I'd just like to say a big thank you to Bill. I'm seeing a page full of notes. There was a lot of great information that was shared in that presentation, and we do have some questions, so try to get to a couple of these really quick. At what point do years of experience date you, potentially overqualify you? Thinking about age bias, is it potentially better to put 10 plus years versus a specific number? What's your opinion on that?
Wow, that's a good question. I've definitely gotten that question before. And again, to me, it's all about your comfort zone. I know there are some people that don't want to, as the question stated, date themselves. So if you wanted to put 10 plus years on there, I think that's fine. If you're actively looking to find a job, I think you have to sort of tailor your LinkedIn and your resume to what the job is asking. So if they're asking for 15 years, you might not want to put 10 plus. You might want to put 15 plus. So again, first of all, I think you need to look at the job description or where you're looking. Second, I think you need to do what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with putting 20 years of experience on there, then put 10 plus. But to me, I think you should own your experience. And the nice thing when you talk about, well, maybe I'm overqualified, or maybe, I'm just trying to make a career shift, and I want this sort of job because I'm not, all the way comfortable with it. So this is where connections come into play. So you might not be able to communicate that directly on your resume or your cover letter, but if you had a conversation with somebody, that's where you can sort of kind of bridge that gap between what you're trying to communicate and what your goals are and what is on your resume or your cover letter. I actually worked with somebody recently who was kind of going through the same thing. She was a little bit qualified for a position that she applied for. She really wanted it because she was sort of making a shift. She didn't work as many hours. Really wanted to get into a different industry. She not only did she apply to that job, we were able to connect her with alumni that worked in that organization, who then were able to introduce her to the hiring manager for that. She ended up getting the interview. I actually don't know if she got the job, but she did get the interview. And to me, I think it was all about the personal connections, rather than whether or not 10 plus years of experience. I will always own it. You like me, 5 years of experience, 30 years of experience. I'll put that out there.
Great. And I think we're running up against time here, but we have time for one more question. And this one is asking, should your LinkedIn profile mirror your resume, or should you use it to differentiate your accomplishments?
So to me, when you look at like the experience section, the education section, the activity section that we have on there, the skill section, a lot of that's going to mirror your resume, and I think it should. I think you should put as much information out there, and it should be consistent. Because if an employer looks to see your resume, and then they look at your LinkedIn, and things are completely different, you want to make sure one is consistent. The thing that's sort of going to differentiate you on your LinkedIn, obviously, is your headline, and that summary. You already have a summary on your resume. And again, that's the thing that they look for, or they see right at the top. But to me, I think it should mirror your resume, and your LinkedIn should mirror your resume. And again, your resume and those bullet points, when you talk about, the bullet points underneath your experience, I don't care what you did. I want to know what you accomplished. We've got to think about this, about the way that you brought value to the organization. And that's what we want to highlight, not just on your LinkedIn, but on your resume. I don't care if you answered phones and you made copies. What was the value add in addition to that you brought to the company? Did you help them, make a process more effective? Did you save the company X amount of dollars? By a problem or an issue that you solved. So that's where it should mirror it, because all of the descriptions that you're doing should be achievement and accomplishment focused. It's about value you bring.
Perfect. Well, that concludes today's edition of In Talks. Thank you again to everyone for attending the webinar and for submitting your questions. I'd like to extend a special thank you to Bill Conte for presenting today. As a reminder, all HIN Talks are recorded and can be accessed by visiting the HIN Talks page of UD Connection. We are always looking for ways to improve our programming, so if you have any suggestions or ideas for future topics, please email me directly at zcorbin@bell.edu. That's zcorbin@udel.edu. I hope everyone took something away from today's webinar. Have a great rest of your day.